Warm welcome to you, Professor, and thanks for joining us from Breakfast Central.
Thank you very much.
Now, the obvious question is, whose table does responsibility fall on? Who bears the responsibility for the hellish traffic Lagosians went through 2 days ago?
Well, the Lagos State Governor has taken responsibility, but it will be pertinent to say here that that bridge was not closed by the Lagos State Governor. It was the Controller of Works, Federal Controller of Works, that did that. You can hear the minister saying that it is not right for any Controller of Works. In fact, he gave a warning to all the Controller of Works in all the states that they don't take such decisions without getting in touch with the PAMSEC and with him. That tells you the level of decadence in this country. People just do things anyhow, without recourse to any law, without recourse to any authority. In same countries, they would have given maybe 1 2 weeks notice that this road will be closed for maintenance work.
Now, what difference would it have made if the controller had communicated to the minister?
It would have made a whole lot of difference. There would have been arrangements, alternative routes. When you close roads like that, you give intels to people. Look, this road will be shut down, and they are going to use these alternative roads. So people will be aware. Information is important. Information rules the world today. So it's very, very key that people should have been told that a lot of people left the house without knowing that there's going to be gridlock. Can you imagine somebody getting to his or her house by 2 a.m., 3 a.m.? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. In a sense society, some people would have been fired by now. Not rhetorics.
Who are the people that would have been fired by now?
Control of Works should have gone. He should have gone, for taking laws into his hands. There was no communication anywhere. I don't think he even liaised with the Lagos State Governor. I don't think so. Because if he had done that, maybe at least they would have found a way of telling people that we are closing these roads. These are alternative routes you can take. That's what normally happens.
But they would say that was put in place already, because we do recall that on the 18th, when they said the roads would be closed of March, they had mentioned this slightly. But then again, the papers did carry it that very soon the Independence Bridge will be closed for repairs. Maybe what we're talking about here, the Federal Controller of Works, Mrs. Olukorede Kesha, possibly in this video we just saw, didn't allow the Minister of Works to know what was going to be done.
Let's put this
so should we put the blame on her?
Let's put the thing in perspective. What is very soon? Very soon is vague. It's a vague statement that politicians and administrators use. When they know they don't want to do anything, they will tell you as soon as possible. That's the way it runs. So very soon is no time. It's vague. As far as I'm concerned, very vague. Okay, very soon they just woke up one morning and they shut down the bridge. Yes, understandable, that bridge is one of the oldest bridges that we have in this Lagos. And it needs that maintenance. And okay, look at what is going on forth and back between the two of them. The minister said they should close the work immediately. He said, no, we cannot do that because already we have removed some of the...
Yes, as you can see.
Some of the slabs already. So it's not possible that the work can stop. Now, you see lack of communication. You see lack of coordination. There's nobody coordinating anything. Everybody stays in his cocoon, takes any decision, and feels he can run with it. No, countries are not run this way. So this is madness.
On whose table or does the responsibility lie in deciding how the bridge, the repair of the bridge will function? Because we are hearing the governor telling us that if you don't have anything to do on the island, don't come to the island, work from home, look for alternatives. And then we're hearing the minister telling us that they would, I think, close the bridge on Sunday, or they open the bridge on Sunday. So we're hearing, it does seem like we're not quite sure who should be in charge of the modalities for the repair.
That's what I'm telling you now. There's no, you see, they're just going forth and back. The truth of the matter is that that's a federal route. So it's a minister that has to take charge of that route. The buck stops on his table. So, but you have seen recently that even state governors are doing some federal routes. We even read in one of the news items that the state governor had an arrangement with an organization to do that repair. However, we know how it runs here, that when the state governor does that, he gets a refund from the federal government. And I recall vividly during the Buhari regime that he stopped that because he said they were inflating the contract sum. So, but let's put this in a perspective now. Yes, the bridge needs to be rejigged, but proper things had to be done. The first thing that should have been done was to give information. Between this date and this date, look at him saying from now to May. Does it make sense to a right-thinking person? No, it doesn't. That for 1 month plus, you shut down Lagos. That's what it means.
I mean, they've closed third mainland bridge.
You shut down Lagos.
For longer,
that's what it means.
for a longer period.
Let's also look at it. They had mentioned this, that the bridge will be closed for 2 months. They had said for the next 2 months, that bridge will be closed. I think for clarity's sake, we're trying to find out what are the processes. When you say closed, does that mean that there will be no passage within that area, no way, and everybody is to be diverted to a particular place? And what happens? Are we going to have a repetition of what we just went through 2 days ago? I think that's something we should really look at.
No, what we should be looking at now is a solution, because I want to. Okay, let me leave that because of what will come out of it. Let me just leave that. But what I'm trying to say, no. I wanted to give a proverb.
Okay.
Some people will see it as, that
I
one shouldn't
understand.
have said that kind of thing in a national television.
That's fine.
So that's why I say let me
That's
leave
fine.
that.
All right.
You see, in my place, when there's a problem, okay, let me just say, Henry Ford said, don't complain, look for solution, because every idiot can complain. Complain is something everybody can do. But when there's an issue, look for solution. What is the way out? That's what they should come about, not throwing tantrums. This one will talk his own, the other one will come and talk his own. No. Let them give a solution to the problem. You are talking of, are we going to look at the bridge? Nobody can pass that bridge as it is now. Nobody can do that.
But the minister, the minister is saying, maybe by Sunday it should be reopened to some vehicular traffic, and then repair works will be going on simultaneously.
I don't know
how that will pan out.
Maybe under the bridge or the structures.
You see, what normally happens is that when you do this type of thing, this is not the first time Lagos State is shutting down bridges. But they will give alternative routes. They tell people ahead of time, now we are going to do this within this period. There are alternative routes. People that are coming from
they have given, in fairness to Lagos.
After the problem. No, these things should come before the problem, not after. So as an afterthought.
I think they had given it
Yes,
before,
I think
it
they
just
did
wasn't
before.
widely circulated as much as people would have. We're not very much aware about it. And it probably didn't generate this much noise. So I think the question now is, seeing the challenge with communication, how better can we manage the communication between the government and the citizens so that we don't get into a situation?
That's because you said they gave it out earlier. If you write a memo and leave it on a table, have you sent out a memo?
Yeah, but a few press, media houses had published that this bridge will be closed for 2 months. Alternative routes are, if you're going to VI, you can't follow Zumambadi way, you can't follow this, you have to follow this area. I mean, we also have that press release.
Was it the publicity that was needed?
That is where we may.
Such a thing, you don't just talk it in one corner of a newspaper. No, you would have taken maybe the front page of the papers. You would have some of the television stations, like your station, and 1 or 2 other stations would have, made people to know about it. You see, I have problem at times with the way Lagos State communicate information like this. They use LTV. How many people watch LTV? LTV is the station for Lagos workers and old men. And let's say it the way it is.
But they also have very vibrant social media handles. The governor is very active on social media. His advisors also post.
Yeah, they did it on social handle. Before the day, did he?
In all fairness, I think at this point we're going to say that they tried their best to ensure that they put it up. You know what? I think we get your point. Trying their best for the state in terms of communication. Now we've marked that communication was a major problem. There was a gap in terms of communication, because I'm sure that if a lot of persons knew that that bridge would be locked or closed from XYZ time to XYZ time, we wouldn't have suffered.
And also, a lot of people didn't know the bridge, the geographical
Exactly.
location.
We did not know the bridge.
Independence Bridge, Mekwen Bridge, Independence.
Yes, I think it is very clear. You're right.
That was an issue.
So maybe a better way next time will be, beyond putting it in the papers, having their representatives from the government go to media houses and have, jingles out there, have a chat with them to understand, to let us know we're doing this and this is why we're doing this and this is how long we're doing this. I'm assuming that should be a better.
Now, talking about solutions, Prof, what are your thoughts on last month's response? Do you think they have the capacity to handle such a huge traffic disruption?
See, if you want to know the truth, we have the human capacity to do anything in this country. The problem is not the capacity, the problem is the willingness to do the right thing. That's always the problem here. It's not the capacity, because we do have it. We do have the human capacity to handle any issue in this country. I can tell you that for free. I can go to the bank with it. But the challenge has been that people are not willing to do the right thing because they want to see. But
a day after that major disruption,
Yeah.
I mean, feelers from even our colleagues here used the roads, and they said, it's fair, and there wasn't traffic as it was terrible on
Which
day
day
one.
was that?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. People got home by 9 p.m., 10 p.m. yesterday. There was a lady yesterday that complained that she left the house in the morning. She was going to pick the daughter. She was going to drop the daughter in school, went to somewhere. By 11, she was going to pick the daughter. She didn't get home until 1 a.m. That was yesterday.
Oh, wow.
So what are we saying? You see, let me tell you. See, you are talking of traffic. I wanted to say something before you cut in. If you travel to, I don't want to go to Europe, just Africa, Ghana, and you enter one way, you know what they will do? The police will just walk to you. Are you a new person here? You say, can I see your passport? You show them your passport. Oh, sorry, this is one way. Please drive back. Where are you going to? They will direct you. But here, hey, you don't enter. And before you know it, they begin to quote one ridiculous amount. No, we have to be sane here. We have to be sane here. You can't even talk of Europe and America. Because the things that happen here, I had an issue once. That road, linking to Kesha from the railway that they are blocked now. One time they made it one way. I passed it on a Saturday. On a Tuesday, I was coming. I saw people moving straight instead of moving direct to Kesha. I just parked and beckoned on the police lady. I said, excuse me, ma'am, officer, is this place one way now? He said, you don't enter. I was like, what is wrong with everybody?
Almost like a trap.
She now said, open your car. I said, if you enter this car, I'll break your head.
Wow.
Let's go to where you want us to go to. You people can't be mad always. What is wrong with you? I thought that because at times you discover that the senior officers are more responsible.
Yeah.
So I came down, locked my vehicle, I went to him. He said I should go and discuss with her. I said, fine. Whatever you want today, you will get it from me. So she said she wanted to enter the van. I said, madam, don't try it, because if you do, you will see my other side. So I now took my camera and I was snapping the place. And I said, for crying out loud, there's no sign here. He said there was a sign. I said, where? Show me. He said they removed it. I said, show me the spot. Because if there was a sign and they removed it, you will see where the dog to remove the sign. Show me, there was no sign anywhere. You just came up with an issue and you just say the place is one way and you want to trap people. Who does that? Where?
That's very unfair. And the unfortunate thing is we most likely might see more of that because people will be looking for alternatives in this season.
It happened at night, like I said already. Yeah. On the island, if you were going from VI was permanently was blocked. No, people switched off their cars and were sleeping. Some even went to look for, egg and Then I saw a friend who said he's not going home. They're like three, they joined money, they put money together rather, and they're just going to get a place to stay. You see, this conversation is very important because like we've highlighted here, we seem not to know what the information really is. Is there a new information? Is there a communique that has been passed by the Lagos state government and the federal government, stating clearly and categorically that the bridge will resume construction and will be closed from XYZ time to XYZ time. Therefore, due to this that happened, we have now decided that if you're moving here, but then again, let me ask you quickly. The governor says if you don't have any business on the island, you shouldn't come to the island. He's also advising that people should actually work from home. What's your take on that? Don't you think that would help ease the traffic?
Well, it will help ease the traffic, but it depends on the kind of work you do. Can you ask a banker to work from home?
Or a broadcaster.
Or a broadcaster, right? To work from home.
Or an engineer?
So it depends on the type of work you are doing. If it's a work that you don't have contact with people, you can stay at home and do your work and upload it. In fact, that's what is the in thing now in the world. The world is going
remote work.
Wireless.
Yes.
That's wireless organizations now. You stay at home and do your work, upload, and that's it. But if you have jobs that you need to make contact with people, how do you work from home? These are the issues.
All right.
Now, it's going to put pressure on the employers too to begin to look for hotels for their staff to stay so that they won't be going forth and back. Do you know that some people slept in their offices? And in the morning, they just went to the bathroom, washed their face, and, the same clothes? Because they didn't have prior information. If people had some information earlier, they would have gone with 2 or 3 change clothes. So that whatever happens, you just change your clothes in the morning, maybe use one perfume or the other, and so that you don't start...
that perfume, I hope it's strong enough. Very necessary. I hope that perfume is strong enough.
Before we talk about perfume, I think we should mention deodorant. I think deodorant is actually even more important. But let's talk about this projection for the timelines. We've been given May, that this would be completed in May. Should the government not be able to meet its timeline? What options are there?
You see, the problem I have is that you can't say this is the time that they finish this work. Recall that the first comment the minister made was that this could take 3 days. The minister said so. So if the minister said this could take 3 days, and he's an engineer, and he's a works minister, why are we saying it will take 2 months? These are the issues. I can't reconcile those issues.
So why don't we have a streamlined communication channel? Why is the Lagos state government saying one thing and the federal minister saying another thing? It's almost like they're in competition.
You just said it. And the unfortunate thing is that both of them belong to the same party.
And he said that. The governor acknowledged that. He acknowledged that.
You will not be saying that it's because it's from a different party. Both of them belong to the same party. So I don't understand where the problem is. I don't want to bring politics into it because you know a lot of water has passed under the bridge between the state governor and the federal government. Let me use that word so that I don't go into the nitty-gritty of what's going on. So I think maybe, I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, we've looked at this. Just to mention here that that New Central has also, we've tried to reach out to the Ministry of Works as well to ensure that they can join us, but of course we're not able to reach out to them. In other words, we didn't get the feedback from them, but we'll try again. You did see our reporter who was on ground, Bernard Akede. He was there and he did ask the minister questions. Part of the plan was to also have the minister or his representative to also join us this morning, and then also have someone from Lagos State in whom we're also trying to reach as of the time before this program started. So we want you to know that as well, so that we can balance this conversation. But then again, we do have a public affairs analyst who has also spent years in ensuring that communication is key. Now, in your line of communication, you've also looked at the aspect of one major reason which may have caused this: prior information and also proper information using the right channels. Okay, going forward, and Lagosians still waiting to get a proper communique now that would help us decide what our lives would look like in the next few months. What do you advise? Let's get an advice from you using your experience. What do you advise the Lagos State Governor to do? And also, what do you advise the Federal Ministry of Works to equally do in this scenario?
Okay. Let me start with the Federal Ministry of Works. Every project has a timeline. There's a start date and an end date. And if you look at projects, you see their signposts. You know, you will see the person that's doing the project, the time the project is starting, and the time the project is ending. Naturally, that's the way it works in project management. So, what I expect is that they will do their meetings, shield their swords, and come together to tell us this project will be delivered on such a date. And that these alternative routes now, maybe create more alternative routes. Now, be definite about it. People coming from Surulere, people coming from Aja, people come from this end. These are the routes you are going to take to avoid this. And then, try as much as possible. When there is a problem like this, you work day and night. Do much of the work in the night so that by the daytime, you will not cause a lot of problems.
Kind of what happened with the Third Mainland Bridge
situation. That is it.
But then again, I mean, I just want you to speak to some of the actions of the government and how they've been touted to be a government that in some measure carries out projects without conducting risk assessment to see what the potential damage this might cause. First of all, when we look at the coastal highway, many people had, I don't know if you saw the clip then when they had asked if there had been an environmental impact assessment has been done, and you know he said yes,
and it was not done.
Eventually
it was not done.
No report.
They went to destroy people's property, only to now discover that if they go on with that road, they are going to destroy the pipes and the cables.
So now bring that back.
And now the money they have spent there, that wasted them. That guy that owns that resort is still crying that he has not been compensated.
Yes, he hasn't, according to the latest report. Then you bring that back to Lagos, and you've seen how this whole bridge, it does seem like, again, this was done without an environmental impact assessment, social impact assessment as to how it will impact the lives of Nigerian citizens. How do we go forward to ensure that we don't constantly have a repeat of situations like this where they make a decision? In fact, even him ordering that the bridge be reopened, was he aware that that bridge was completely broken?
I don't know. That's what I was saying. There's a lot of confusion. You know, all of them are confused. See, I have always said this. We have had this problem time and time again, and people are not trying to do due diligence. Let me digress a little bit. Now, when Lagos State government wanted to do the BRT, the red buses, they just drew lines on Lagos roads. There was no communication, and people were running in and out of those lines. So they discovered there were a lot of infractions. Now, it was after they had discovered that they started building blocks on Olukorede road. Now, when they now do those blocks, they now discover that the accident rate has been increased by those blocks. Because people don't see them at night, they ram into them. So they now started painting the blocks. After painting it, it reduced the accident rate a little bit, but didn't reduce it automatically. They now started putting reflectors on those blocks. Now look at the rigor they went through. But they would have solved that problem by sensitizing the people. We have this red line, yellow lines, you don't enter into it. They said they did, and somebody asked, which media did you use? They said LTV. How many people watch LTV? So these are my issues. We have this problem. Now it has come to this again. Now it's the same thing that we are facing. Why don't you sensitize people in other clans? See, the Republic of Benin here, if they want to take light, they will inform you that within this period and this period, there will be light disruption. And they will tell you reasons why they are doing that. And immediately after that, your light comes back. But here, somebody will just be passing and will put the thing off. The next minute you'll come back.
But are you sure that it's somebody that put it off?
No, it's animal that put it off. You say, that put it off. You say, that put it off.
You know, I like one fact that we're making light of this issue because whether we like it or not, we've all been beaten and paid, especially for those of us who are in traffic. And I'm sure that those who are watching us from home who were in that traffic would possibly also, you know, benefit from this. But I want to thank you so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts, especially looking at it from the communication aspect, because that's why we're having this conversation.
And another thing, just to add, before we wrap up the conversation, another concern I have is, if this is going to continue, how are we going to be able to manage emergencies? If there's a fire outbreak, if there is a, someone needs to access the ambulance, how are we going to be able to manage emergencies? Has that been taken into consideration? And, will there be a memo put out to that effect to say where there are emergencies, this should happen?
Can I say one last thing?
Please
go ahead.
So that it will not be like as if I'm just giving knocks to the state government. Now, the problem they have with the red buses, when they came with the blue buses, they now did a test run for almost 1 week. And that is what it has to be in project management. You have to do a test run to see the things you didn't envisage when you were planning. So by the time you do the test run, those things will now show themselves. I didn't take note of this. Now you correct it before you now roll out. That's the way it's supposed to be. And they did that with the blue buses. And you see how effective those blue buses are compared to the red buses. So we should learn, and when we do some of these things, we should equally maintain it. I'm surprised that Lagos, the center of excellence, can have this charade. It's unfortunate.
Very unfortunate.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Prof.
And we did enjoy this conversation, no doubt.